you. This is my cycle. As such, traveling across and cycling is a difficult one. Sadly, I'm not going to take you on a ride here. This cycle is a punctured one. And punctured, the puncture stories are something very fascinating, I find. My slide is a bit late, I suppose. Yet, whenever I try and sit and puncture my cycle at different places, I constantly keep on worrying. What is it? Isn't it like fixing a relationship, a broken relationship with your girlfriend, with your wife, or someone? Many of us have experienced at different places. You have to puncture it because you have to move on. That's your relationship with your cycle and your wife. You have to patch it on. And that's how I try keep on moving it on. And when you're stuck in completely alone places, and little of, puncturing how to fix your cycle, and there's no resources available across, then you are in damn shit. You're wondering what should be done. It's basically like a love story or a love marriage, where either you are a runaway couple or a socially discarded couple. And my journey actually started in a very similar way, as a love story of my cycle. At the age of 22, when children go down and tell their parents that I found a beautiful girl I want to marry, I went to my parents and told them that I have found a cycle and a passion of theater. I want to travel across the country for 3 to 4 years. You're basically a madman. Your parents will be wondering, what the hell is this? Where are your girlfriends? Yet, I knew that this was more exciting, more adventurous, more thrilling. But your parents will sit down and ask you down, is it really you want to pursue this? Is this really something that you're born up to? You have never cycled in your life. Basically, before the start of my journey, I have never touched my cycle. That is in my schools, later on no practice. I literally bought my cycle a day before I left the journey. So there was a lot of doubts in them, that will you be able to? I said, yes. If there is something that I want to, is this, the cycle Natak, a journey of one man across the nation, trying to learn and share his passion of theater. It all started off any random theater. Try and land in a village with your cycle and just say, hey guys, I'm here, I want to do something crazy. I didn't know how, what, and moreover, I wanted to learn throughout the journey as a process. And that's why I decided I'm not going to carry any cash along with me. 300 rupees is what I had, and that's where my parents said he's crazy. How could you just go on with something 300 rupees and a cycle and just leave off? This is culturally impossible. This is socially not acceptable. Like any dreams in our country, like a youngster coming up saying that I want to do something, it has its social barriers to carry on. And those social barriers that I have to take it on. But I said, I'm madly in love. This is my love life. And I want to just go on, marry it. I have never thought how is it possible to do it with the 300 rupees. And where? And without cycling before. And that actually their doubts were, 100% right. I used to sit down on highways. Cycling is a difficult thing. You got to just sit down and paddle up. Wondering why are you doing this many a times? Because sometimes on the road there's nothing happening. As excitingly what people convey that you are on cycle tour, there must be a lot of adventures. Not always. Not always. Yes, there might be. And you're just pushing yourself. Why, you wonder? And many times I sit down on my highways and sit down and crying down in pain, listening that, if wish someone were there. But those moments I start back and look on the first day of my journey and say that this was my idea, this was my dream, this was my love, and this is what I wanted to do. And then I just say, come on man, you're just awesome, you can just push another kilometer, just go on. And that's how, from a journey which 8 kilometers on the first day, 10 kilometers on the other, I started to move on. And carrying no money, literally that means you're going to look out for your food and stay across different places. We wonder that no one's here to give free food across different places. But there are certain people who understand you, that you are a beggar. And a beggar with a heart, warm, loving to understand them. And that's where I found my houses at different places, that these people, stop by. These are the MRG workers on the roads with whom I share my life and they share my life. sit down, try and interact with them, and they just say, come down, sit and have lunch with me, dinner with me. And that's how I kept on moving without even the cash. And then you always, people question you that, is there a fear, is there a, what's going to happen if there is an accident? Yes, there is an accident, what's going to happen? There are people who can help you out. Sadly, we are so pessimist in many ways that we wonder that, no one's in this world is going to help you out when there is an accident. I had one where I just crashed in a 20-feet ditch, and I wondered what the hell could happen if I was seriously injured and no one else. Luckily, people who were passing by, stopped by, took me out, made sure that I'm in a village. 6 days, they completely took care of me, making sure the plastering is done, making sure that everything of mine is healthy. But the biggest challenge of all this was the theater. Now, you work hard with your cycle and you want to just go on, but your passion of theater, you are asking yourself that how are you going to do it? You do not have a stage, nor do you have a costumes, nor do you have a makeup. You are just a general man with a cycle like this and a bag on, and you are moving in. How do you do it? At the start of my journey, when I stopped in the villages and I asked them that, I am someone who comes from a theater background, they looked me up and down and said, okay, perform here. I literally could not. I failed every day on the road saying that, oh my God, man, I want to do this theater, and I was not able to do. What and how? I was just wondering then that what and how? How should I do this? How should I crack it this? The leader said, let's keep on trying. Let's see how it goes on. I did not know it. And as I went on, then I started experimenting with my theater. I started calling up randomly. You sir, just come down. Sit down here along with me. And they started sharing the stories, and we started sharing our stories across. So it was more an evening fun place across at different points. But that too didn't have its impact on something. So one day, while traveling in a small village, I stopped by, started having a theater workshop with kids, which I do very often across every village, trying to work out with a lot of kids. And there, while having this small workshop, I asked the kids that, what is the thing that is worrying you? What is there in something in the village that, might make you anger or something like that? One of the 6th class girls stood up and told that, my classmate comes drinking to school. A 6th class girl standing up and telling that, my classmate comes drinking to school. Then I asked her reason, as surprisingly and shockingly, why? Everyone in the village drinks. My father drinks and everyone, literally. And this is in Andaman, the state of Andaman there. Then I wondered, what should I be able to do this? Drinking is a rampant issue across the country. I might not be able to take up something big like this. Then I said, okay, what do you think we should be doing? They said, we want to tell our parents. I said, how? We will do something, they said. Okay, then I said, sit down, write your scripts, make your story out. They started writing down their own dialogues. I stitched up together a story. We all went, along with 6-7 students, went to a market and started performing in small street theater across. This is the same one. Sorry, I had a bad camera at the start of my journeys for my photographs. So after this small play where, the girls came out saying that, sharab le lo sharab, sort of things, where they have become and drinking bottles. And then after this play, the next day when I was invited in the same village for a function, one of the men came up to me and said, are you the guy who taught my daughter 250 ml, quarter, whiskey, wine, rum? And I wondered, why is he asking me? He was highly drunk. I said, who are you? Why are you asking me? He said, I am the father of that girl, Kavya, in the play. If she looks in, she is in a yellow dress. And I said, I didn't teach her anything. She told me the whole story, I just stitched up. I was scared inside literally, that what the hell could happen if, I move out of this village and this guy catches me up and bashes me out. And then, at the end of the function, this man comes up to me and says that, I have decided I will not be drinking at home. I might drink outside, but I will not drink at home in front of my child. That's where I realized the power of theater, that throughout my journey, that can have an impact. I was wondering that what is that small thing that might have impacted it? It's the kids. Telling them that how something is affecting them. Moving out from there, I started more experimenting with my theatre. That is what I call it as a mandli, natak mandli, a fantasy concept, traveling across on a cycle. Every village I stopped looking for different stories. I sat down in between the villages, heard their stories, and those stories of bonded labor, to land struggles, to water struggles across different points. When Naxalism is rampant, there are issues which can be devastating at a personal levels. Yet, unaware of their rights, they keep on continuing this. And I decided from this that whatever small impact, it might be a smaller one. My dream actually started as someone who wanted to do a theatre, to someone who has done a small bit to an individual, saying that yes, drinking can be stopped at an individual level. I got into this structure of bringing awareness through rights, through theatre, involving them, asking them to, yes, stand up for this. And this all was done with, not without any stage costumes or money. It was all done with the help of the villagers, trying to involve in them with the theatre. And that's where I realized that connection that arts have an individual to individual basis can bring a bigger impact, bigger change, even if it is at a smaller levels. And that's where the journey of a single man trying to pursue his dream started to look bigger. Connecting with different things, connecting with different dreams of the small town villagers and making it go big and big. But all through my journey, I realized what is that something which pushes me when things are going down. There are challenges that I take up every day, there are boredoms, there are emotional challenges that I have to take, there are physical challenges. Sometimes the theatre does not work out. It's, to be frank, that 90 times I think, if I've tried 100, 90 times I have failed in a theatre trying to do it in a village. Yet, I start learning from them just because I realize one thing, it's a journey, what matters. What matters is how you are living in through it, not giving up. It's your dream, it's your passion that makes it most important. And when you start believing it and living it, that's the most important thing. Have that madness to say that I'm going to take a step forward and say, I'm going to live this through it, no matter what happens. If I just stand down here and do, I want to dance out. Let's dance it out. No one's going to say it. No. But this is what we have a structured life. You're not supposed to do in this sudden behavior. That's where we are bonded to different things. That's where our dreams are limited to. We have to, as such, break in those chains. And that's what I realized. That's what I have been doing every day. Not looking what is going to be tomorrow, but living in what is there today. Surviving for the day, trying to live whatever I could. The small change of theatre at different points has been a challenging task. But financially it was, again, if theatre was giving me 10, 20, 30 rupees at different points, then I was trying to experiment with different livelihoods across, trying to live in the lives of the rural man to understand what is their livelihoods, what is their struggle all about at different points. And when I started to realize that their struggle is something what the urban India do not realize with, the middle class like me, who was always into social change, even before the travel journey, was completely a different picture. The huge gap between the present middle class and the lower middle class. And that's where again I decided I'm going to use my theatre, go to the colleges and perform these stories that I have been living with. Try and give an implications that this is what a bonded labor's life is, living his life through. The small changes that we can make out with a small dream, that's the most valuable thing that we ever could do if we cannot change bigger things. Living a small dream is more valuable. As you live in, it gets bigger. That's the biggest challenges that I have to live in through. And that's where I end in a very short one. Thank you everyone. Thank you.